Meet the director of the only labor museum in the country, which is right here in the state of New Jersey, up next on the Giblin Report. Welcome to the Giblin Report. I'm Assemblyman Tom Giblin, representing the 34th Legislative District, which includes Clifton, East Orange, Montclair, and Orange. On today's show, I'm pleased to welcome Angelica Santomauro, Director of the American Labor Museum. Welcome, Angelica, to the Giblin Report.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here.
Angelica, the road to the Bottle House, what area did you travel on to get to be the executive director of the American Labor Museum located at the Bottle House? First of all, tell us about the Bottle House. Where is the Bottle House?
The Bottle House is in Haledon, New Jersey, right outside of Paterson, New Jersey. And I got there through Jersey City. I was a Jersey City school teacher and was asked to teach social studies despite my math background. And when I stood in front of this beautiful patchwork quilt of multicultural children, and I was teaching them about white males who were their heroes, whether they were presidents, military generals, or corporate magnates, I thought, I'm not really teaching them about the everyday heroes, people to whom they could relate. So I went back to school. I went to Rutgers University and took a course, the Introduction to Labor Studies, and it changed my life. So I came back and I started teaching the students about these everyday heroes, and they were inspired by them. And they organized their own student union, and the story became got national coverage. And then Sol Stenton, who was the president of the museum, invited me to come on board as a board member and the head of the education committee. And then I subsequently became the director. So that's...
So how many years were you at the Bottle House?
This past July, believe it or not, 25 years.
25 years, that seems like yesterday.
I know. I came thinking I was just going to be an interim director, but once I got there, I just fell in love with the position, and I saw the importance of teaching others about this labor and immigrant studies, and I thought, you know what, I can't go back to the confines of a classroom.
You know, I have read a lot about the history of the Bottle House. Pietro Botto. Now,
yes. Tell us about who he was and why he's so significant to some of the history associated with Paterson, New Jersey. Exactly, yeah. In 1913, there was a strike that took place. Paterson at one time was known...
That's over 100 years ago.
That's right, yeah, 104. Paterson at one time was known as the Silk City. Paterson produced more than 50% of the silk in the entire country, and it was the home to 298 silk mills and employed 25,000 silk mill workers, most of whom were immigrants.
They were tough jobs, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Yeah, very unsafe and quite dangerous. Yeah.
I think Frank Lautenberg had relatives that worked in the silk mill.
He did, yes. As a matter of fact, our library is named after Frank Lautenberg's family. It's called the Lautenberg Family Foundation Library because he was a very, very generous donor to the museum. But anyway, the strike took place, and when the strikers tried to assemble in the streets of Paterson, the mayor was controlled by the silk mill owners and was told that he had to tell his police force to get the workers out of town despite their constitutional rights because they were making the mill owners look bad. Well, in the meantime, the mayor of Haledon, who was elected on a socialist ticket, was very sympathetic to the cause. His name was William Brockman. And he invited the workers to come up to the town of Haledon to have their union meetings there and assured them that his police force of one wouldn't bother them. So this is where Pietro Botto and Maria Botto come into the story. Their house sat in the middle of a big field. So the union leaders from the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, better known as the Wobblies, asked the Bottos if they could have their union meetings at their house because they had a second-floor balcony from which the labor leaders could speak. So the Botto House became the meeting place.
So this is the same house that's...
This is the same house where over 20,000 silk mill workers had their union meetings over 100 years ago. It's a wonderful story because you have to realize that they were immigrants. They represented 9 different countries. They didn't even speak the same languages, but they knew the meaning of solidarity and they stuck together for the cause. So this house now is a national landmark, one of only about 2,000 in the country, and one that belongs to immigrant workers. And that's a pretty wonderful story, and it's an inspirational story because of the strength and the courage of these working class people.
Angelica, how do you fund the operation of the American Labor Museum and the Botto House? I mean, I know you get it from different avenues, but maybe you just explain to us how it's all done.
Yeah, well, coming from the teaching profession, I do try to write grants for educational programs, primarily for educational programs, and we do have many foundations that support these programs. We have a Saturday Labor Arts class that's supported by the Puffin Foundation and the Atran Foundation. We bring in students from 3rd through 5th grades, and we have visual and labor arts that we teach to them, incorporating the study of immigrants as well. We have after-school programs for Scouts, and that is also supported through foundations, again, the Atran Foundation. We have a historical commission grant, which helps us promote the museum, which of course is with the social media, and so on and so on. So grants are...
You get some help from the County of Passaic, right?
Yes, the open space grant through the freeholders has been awarded to us for several years now to help the restoration of the Botto House. Of course, the house was built in 1908, and we need to do work on it almost on a daily basis, and it's an expense. And fortunately, thanks to the freeholders, we do get funding for that. So grants are a big part of our funding.
I know you had mentioned to me one time that the trade unions have helped you with different projects.
Undoubtedly,
you know,
yes.
As far as what, carpenters or
yes,
bricklayers?
Yes, we have a carpenter right now who's working on the restoration of the shingles and the shutters of the house, and it's pro bono. So we're very fortunate in that respect as well to get free labor, and we pay for materials.
I know over the years I've seen you at, for example, the New Jersey State AFL-CIO convention, and I know you've gone to some national conventions of the AFL-CIO to seek out funds. So I assume the labor unions in New Jersey and throughout the internationals are supportive of your efforts?
I'm so indebted to the labor unions all over the country, particularly in the state of New Jersey. We have a membership of over 1,000 members, both individual and organizational, and most of the organizations are labor unions, and they pay an annual dues, which helps us operate the museum. And we also have special events that we hold as fundraisers. Our largest one is our annual gala, which is in November. We have also a golf tournament, and we have a May Day festival right on May Day, and of course the upcoming Labor Day Parade, which is in September.
And look at some of your materials, with your annual fundraisers you have scheduled in November this year. It's named after Sol Stetton.
Yes.
Who was Sol Stetton?
Sol Stetton was the president of the Textile Workers Union.
This is national.
A national union. And Bunny Kukin, who is the granddaughter of the Bottos, approached Sol because she discovered the story of the 1913 strike at her grandparents' home and said to him, I would like to have the house declared a landmark, but they need to have a plaque, and I was wondering if the union could pay for the plaque. And so when he saw this house and he heard the story of the house, he thought, this is the perfect site for a museum, for a story to be told, and for all stories in labor to be told. And so he offered to buy the house through his union foundation, the Sidney Hillman Foundation, and he offered to buy the house from the Botto family, and that was back in 1982, and we opened our doors in 1983, and we've been open ever since.
That's coming up on 35 years.
Yes. It is. Yeah. It is, yes.
And you've been associated there just about all of the time, right?
Most of the time, yeah. Yeah. In '86, I became a trustee. Yes.
I know you're continually, sponsoring exhibits and lectures and things like that. Maybe could recap a little bit about maybe what you did in 2017. I know you had a series of talks and exhibits about the whole immigration issue and how that impacts the labor movement. Maybe just tell us about some of the things you've been doing during this current year.
Yeah, in addition to our regular educational programs that we offer, we also have monthly cultural events. We have book signings which are always geared toward immigrants and labor. We had something recently on the silk stocking industry, a woman who wrote a book and came and spoke about that. We have an exhibit that is by the author and journalist from the Nation. His name is David Bacon, and we have a wonderful black and white photo documentary exhibit that is currently being shown, and it shows the images of farm workers in Northern California. That would actually break your heart to see the living conditions in this day and age, that they're living in shacks. There are inspiring photographs where you see some of the workers who are out there on the picket line with their families, with their children, and they're fighting for living wages. That's all they're asking for.
The story's still the same.
And the story, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Look at what's happening right now in Charlottesville, Virginia. I mean, it's really a very sad situation, but it demands education to open up the eyes of people that they need to respect one another. And that's what we're all about. We teach the general public about the contributions of working people and immigrants, the forgotten heroes on whose shoulders we stand. And we inspire them to fight for social justice. We have a free public library where books can be borrowed. We have CDs and DVDs. They can listen to music about social justice. They could watch movies about social justice. It's an inspiring place to visit. We're small, but we're mighty.
Where is the Botto House American Labor Museum located?
We are on the outskirts of Paterson, New Jersey. We are in the town of Haledon. It's a borough. The mayor of the town, Dominic Stampone, is on our board of trustees. He's a union member, and he's a member of the AFT, the teachers union, and he's very supportive of all of our events. And he has helped us this year, as well as you, Tom, who you're also on our board, to get John Curry to be our Grand Marshal of our Labor Day Parade, along with John Shin, who is the sheet metal workers president of District 4. So we're having a double Grand Marshal parade this year, someone from labor and someone from politics.
Do you have a website?
Yes, we do. It's www.labormuseum.net. And on that website, we invite teachers in particular to visit. We have so many educational materials that can be downloaded and used in the classroom. And in addition to that, we also have many libraries. We also have nursing homes. We have a program that's called Museum in a Suitcase. And that is a group of 9 different traveling exhibits that can be borrowed and set up in a classroom, in a library, but the one place that we never expected it to be used was in a nursing home. And in this nursing home, there are many people who are memory challenged. And when they take a look at the artifacts from over 100 years ago, it enables them to recall the memories of being with their grandmother or their mother, sitting in the kitchen and seeing the different, the wooden spoon or the cheese grater or something as simple as a clothesline pulley. And it helps their memories. And so who thought, when writing this grant and getting the funding from the New Jersey Council for the Humanities, that we were going to be helping people with their memories? It's you know, it's always a surprise. Every day is something new, and that's the joy of working at the museum.
You know, speaking about grants and resources, do you find it more challenging to, you know, garner enough support for the operation of the Bottle House and the American Labor Museum?
It's challenging. Whether it's more challenging now than before, I can't, yeah, I guess it would be in certain respects. As much as we are getting a great deal of funding from labor unions, the membership dues that are being paid to the museum has decreased. And obviously that's because when I became director 25 years ago, the labor movement appeared to be somewhat stronger. But I truly believe that, as I said before, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I believe that the labor movement is going to come back stronger, and that will, of course, impact the museum, and our dues contributions will go up. So I'm very optimistic about that.
You know, with your board of directors, it's shared by Mike Goodwin, who's the affiliated with the Office and Professional Employees International Union. I know that his International has helped you significantly, and I don't know if you'd like to say a word or two about Mike, because it's more than, you know, it's a labor of love, and he really has a lot of enthusiastic ideas and strong leadership.
Yes. Mike Goodwin, the president of the American Labor Museum, as well as the Office and Professional Employees International Union Local 153, has been very, very supportive during the 23 years that he has been president. And recently they incorporated a $25,000 annual grant to the museum to use for our educational programs, as well as for staff support, which is very, very, very difficult to find. So we're very indebted to Mike, and at the events that we have, he always has his membership in attendance. And in addition to having financial support, it's always important to have participatory support, and we appreciate all of the members of the OPEIU who come out and attend our events, as well as your own union.
You've been very, you know, close to proximity as far as Paterson is concerned. Paterson enjoys a great history as far as
Yes.
Labor union activity and, you know, participation in helping American workers
Yes.
move up the economic ladder. I mean, what's your overview as far as the role Paterson plays in
We
history of the labor movement?
Yeah, we work very, very closely with the city of Paterson. There are three important sites. We have the Great Falls Visitor Center, which Senator Lautenberg and Congressman Pascrell has just worked on getting it to become the latest national park in the United States. We have the...
So that's like Yellowstone almost?
Yeah.
Say a national park?
Yes, exactly. It's right there. And they have the audio tapes.
Park rangers and all that?
Park rangers and all that, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then we have the Paterson Museum, which is right down the road from the Great Falls Visitor Center. And then we have the Lambert Castle, which belonged to a silk mill owner. So when we work with these three sites, we have programs that are called Mill Worker, Mill Owner, so the visitors can compare and contrast the lifestyles of a silk mill worker with that of an owner.
I saw The Rich and Famous. Right?
Exactly, exactly. And then they get the opportunity, visitors get the opportunity to come to the home of a worker and then go to the workplace, because the Paterson Museum is housed in a mill, and they have a loom that operates so the worker can actually hear how loud the loom is and how people had to work not only one loom but 4 looms, which was a major cause of the strike in 1913. So it plays a very important role with the American Labor Museum in teaching the history of immigrants and working people.
You know, our good friend Laura Brennan called the Bottle House Labor's Schoolhouse.
Yes.
So what kind of programs are you really sponsoring that merits that recognition by the state AFL-CIO?
I can't thank Laurel for those words, because I think that she really nailed it when she called the museum Labor Schoolhouse. We're far more than a museum. We are truly an educational center. And Laurel Brennan from the New Jersey State AFL-CIO has brought in the young workers who are part of the AFL-CIO, and they have taken tours of the museum. They've held meetings at the museum. They're very much involved with the museum. We have apprentices who come in. We have the Communications Workers of America have organized corrections officers, and they have monthly meetings at the museum. And this is all in addition to our on-site and off-site tours, because in addition to having on-site tours, we have distance learning classes, and through video conferencing we can reach out all over the world. I mean, we have reached out as far as the state of California. We haven't gone beyond the United States borders, but we're capable of doing so. And we have our annual teachers' workshops, and this past year you were involved in that, and inspiring teachers how to go back and teach students about how important it is to stand up for their rights in the workplace. And so our educational programs just go on, and I thank Laurel for that moniker. It's really appreciated.
What kind of programs or exhibits are you planning for, I guess, the fall of 17, you know, throughout the winter of 18?
Yes.
Anything special?
Yes, we do. The day of the Labor Day Parade on September the 3rd, we are opening an exhibit entitled Frederick Douglass and the Underground Railroad. How timely is that? And we celebrate Frederick Douglass's contributions, he was a slave and went on to be a statesman, and of course one of the leaders of the Underground Railroad. And again, this message of acceptance, this message of unity, this message of we are one needs to be told over and over and over again. And we're doing it through this exhibit in addition to the continued educational programs.
Didn't you have some type of program dealing with the immigration issue this current year? I thought there was something sponsored by the Bottle House.
Yes, we did. It was an exhibit that actually brought tears to visitors' eyes. It was about the Guatemalan workers and the abuse of the Guatemalan young girls, and how there was a shelter that was formed in Guatemala, and they took these young girls from the streets because very often these babies were born to rape victims, and these rape victims didn't have enough money to take care of these babies, so they just abandoned them. So this shelter took in these children and actually raised them, provided homes, provided education, and they made bracelets for a fundraising activity. And they made beautiful, beautiful artwork, which told their stories, and we exhibited their work and sold a lot of their artwork at the museum, and it opened up a lot of eyes to the tragedies that exist around the world, because our mission is not only about teaching about the United States, it's about teaching visitors about the problems in the whole world.
You've spent your career in education, and of course you continue to work here at the Bottle House. My gut tells me that there's not enough being done to educate our students about the important role that has been played by the labor movement, and also, you know, for the benefit of working families in our state and our nation.
Yeah. I'm a proud member of the New Jersey Education Association, and I work very closely with the union, and they have fought for this legislation to be passed to incorporate labor studies into the curriculum. And it has been done, and the immigrant studies as well. The problem that we see today in the schools is that teachers are supposed to teach to the test. So although the infusion of labor and immigrant studies is there in the curriculum, it's somewhat washed out because of this test-taking problem that exists, which hopefully someday we'll get away from and get back to the real cores.
Well, we've learned a lot about the American Labor Museum, the Bottle House. The address is 83 Norwood Street. Is that Haledon or North Haledon?
It's Haledon, and please come, visitors, come and visit our museum and the Labor Day Parade, which is Sunday, September the 3rd.
Okay, well, the show might be running after September 3rd, but we'll certainly have good information about the American Labor Museum and about your website.
www.labormuseum.net.
And if folks want to join the museum as a member, can they get an application?
It's right on our website, and they could give us a call if they'd like to come. It's 973-595-7953.
And what's the benefits of being a member?
The benefits are coming to all of our events, with the exception of our special events like our gala, absolutely free. And you get invitations to our wonderful exhibit openings.
And the gala you have coming up in
November the 16th.
And where's that going to be, at the Tides?
It's at the Tides in North Haledon, yes.
Well, Angelica, all I can say is, keep up the good work that you have been doing at the Bottle House.
Thank you.
Been able to keep the flag flying for a few years, and enjoys a great reputation. I know that all the people in the labor movement and people in community and civic organizations see the good work that you are doing. And I just want to remind the viewers of the Giblin Report that if you have any pressing issues that require my attention or any matters dealing with current state legislation, you can reach out to me at 973-779-3125, or else email me at asmgiblin@njleg.org. For additional information, you can go to my website, www.assemblygiblin.com. Thanks for watching the Giblin Report. Remember, it's an issue to you, it's an issue to me, and don't forget the Bottle House in North Haledon. It's a place to go, and you'll learn a lot about the strong tradition of the labor movement in our state and in our nation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.